Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning. Beno Promedi. Let's see, that's French. I'm trying to think of all the different languages, depending upon when you're listening to this session. But welcome to SunBiz Weekly. These are sessions that we're putting together as kind of mini webinars, webinets, whatever you want to call them. And of course, our whole goal at SunBiz Weekly is to educate, to help, to keep you folks that own salons or work in salons out there, to keep your business healthy and to help you move it to the next level. And I'm the publisher of SunBiz Weekly, and John Farr, and the guy that really runs the place and is really the brains behind all of this. I want to introduce, he's our editor-in-chief for SunBiz Weekly. Mr. John Ribner, are you there, sir?
I'm right here. Thank you for such a fine introduction, although I think you give me more credit than I deserve.
Well, I'm telling you something. If you didn't do it, the rest of us, we certainly couldn't get it done. So John is a fantastic copywriter. And John, I think you and I have cooked up today some subjects to chat about, to share with people.
Absolutely.
So I guess without any further ado, and I always wonder what an ado is. Is an ado a vegetable? I'm not sure, but anyway.
I don't know. I don't know. I know it's goodbye in French, adieu, but we spell it A-D-O in English and has an entirely different meaning. Although, like you, I say without much further ado, without much knowing what that means.
Well, I don't know either, but anyway, let's say without any further delay, let's get right into the subjects. And John, you had some questions you wanted to ask me, so fire away, my friend.
Absolutely. In fact, this goes back to a discussion, one of our many discussions, but a more recent one. I was asking you, hey, John, what are some of the common problems that you see industry-wide at the salon owner/retailer level? And you said, John, not enough tanning salon owners know or understand the salon math of running a profitable business. So, of course, my first question is, okay, I'm not a numbers guy myself. So what is salon math? Well, what do you mean by that?
Well, it's a great question. I'm glad you bring it up because I have to tell you, I get probably 6, 7, maybe more calls a week, and I certainly get a lot of emails on it too. Okay, so let's think of this. Think of this, John. You go into the doctor, and you're not feeling good, and you don't know what it's all about. So what does he? He takes your temperature, right? And hopefully you're not a dog, so he doesn't take it too personally, if you know what I mean. Takes your temperature, takes your blood pressure, your height, your weight. If he really thinks that there's something serious, he gets a blood and looks at a blood sample and, maybe a chest x-ray, all that kind of stuff. Well, what it comes down to is that when you do what I do as a consultant, you have to do similar to what a doctor does. You have to be kind of a salon doctor, if you will. You've got to look at the vitals. And listening to the heartbeat is something that they always do. And to me, the numbers, the salon math of a salon, that's the heartbeat of what they do. And sometimes when I look at those numbers, I think that heart has got some troubles. So there's a lot of critical numbers, some that aren't so critical. You want me to talk about, say, maybe one of the non-critical numbers? Well, just as a quick aside here, there are a lot of critical numbers, but people get hung up on tans or tan count. Oh, my tan count is down 10% from last year, and geez, it's off 20% from 3 years ago. Okay, we face the fact that our industry has gone into a mature mode where it's maybe we're not adding, in double-digit figures, new tanners every year. We're not adding tans by 15 or 20%. But the thing you have to remember on tans, tans is a reflection of what you're doing with everything else, such as your packages or your memberships. Because as your memberships, as your EFTs go up, your tan count will go back up because and people, instead of having a 30-day unlimited package, now they've got an EFT where they're maybe tanning 12 or 15 times a month, and so your tans go up.
Right.
The significance of the tans going up is that the more times you have more feet in the door, you have more opportunity to sell them, either to an upgraded level.
Right.
upgrade itself. Maybe it's a spray tan, it's a lotion. So that's when that becomes important. But you don't, the only way that you can increase tans outside of that, of course, is your marketing effort. And I think, John, as you and I have talked, there is a lot
Yeah.
that salon owners should do, like in social marketing. And I had mentioned to you, John, I think it would be great to do in these talks that we have is to do it
Hmm.
specifically on social marketing because, I think you
Oh,
really
yeah.
have stuff there.
Social media marketing is huge in today, obviously in today's day and age. And what I always tell salon owners and sunless technicians is, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all these different types of, all these platforms of social media marketing are free. David Gibbons wrote an article for us once talking about you don't need to break the bank boosting posts. You can just put your posts out there, keep posting, keep your Facebook alive. And I agree with him. And yeah, we will definitely do a separate webinar on social media marketing. I'm all for it because it's a moving target. It's changing every day. And, it's our job as the Tanning Industry magazine to keep our readers up to speed on these evolutions. So I'm with you on that one 100%. But bringing it back to what you were saying, if I understand you correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, salon owners, when we're talking about salon math and critical numbers, maybe they're focusing in on the tans more than they should. Is my understanding correct?
Yeah, really. I mean, what they should be focusing in on, and let's start with maybe one of the most critical numbers, and it's called PCA, or per customer average. If you look
Okay.
over
Tell us what that is.
over a 12-month period. Now you can, if you
Mm-hmm.
want to look at it in a shorter, like say the first quarter of the year, or the second quarter of the year, or the third quarter when those good old Jason months have started, or even fourth quarter.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, good old Jason months. Now, if you want to look at that, as long as you're comparing it to the same period of time prior year. But normally what I look at is PCA on a seasonal basis. I look at PCA for the first 6 months and then PCA in the second 6 months. But the
Uh-huh.
grand figure to concentrate on is the annual PCA, what the per average customer is spending or investing in your salon. Now, in looking at that, what we're saying is that we
So
don't
how
need
much does each tanner spend with you within a year?
exactly.
Is my understanding correct?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, if the people, let's say someone listening to this broadcast, uh, as an individual tanner, they spent $100 in a year. Let's say I spent
Okay.
75. John, you spent 125. The average is $100. And
Right.
you look at that and say, okay, is my per customer average going up or going down? And here's something, John, that is just really significant that I don't think a lot of people look at. Let's say that you have an EFT program and you have 4
Okay.
levels of tanning. And let's say your average level that people tan at is like a 2 or a 2 plus. Well, we'll just round it off and say 2, your second level.
Okay.
And you're charging $35 a month. Now, if your PCA is $100, all you have to do is to get somebody to stay on that EFT for 4 months, and you're taking in $140 or much more
Yep.
than your average tanner is spending. So those
Yep.
numbers it's really critical when you look at that. Now, if your PCA is going up, it means that you're getting more money out of the unique tanners that you have. And that's what we have to do today in this business because we're not adding more unique tanners in double-digit figures, so we got to get more money
Right.
out of the tanners that we have.
And John, as a real, just to touch on what you just said, and this comes up a lot in the content that we get each week for Sunbiz Weekly, isn't it true that one way salon owners can bring that PCA up is by incorporating things such as sunless tanning, be it in a booth or a handheld, teeth whitening, and all the different types of spa services? Aren't these ways to bring that PCA up by diversifying your salon offering, your salon menu?
Well, listen, you're getting into a very important subject here, John. And look at you said the word diversify. There
Yes.
is no question that and if you look at the study of business, when you get to the mature mode of an industry, then one of the keys becomes differentiation, which is similar to the comment you made on diversify. You have to
Yep.
differentiate yourself. If you have 10 beds, tanning beds, UV beds, and you have a sunless, and your competitor 3 miles away has 10 beds and a sunless, how are you different than him? Maybe it's the in-salon experience. You've got better people. Maybe you've got better packages. Maybe your social marketing is better. But it's great to do what you just said before, is you have to have maybe a diversification from, say, his sunless spray. Maybe you've got 3 or 4 different levels. Maybe you've got aftercare lotion that you sell. The teeth whitening, I think, has a huge application here. So yeah, diversification is huge. But let me go back.
That's another webinar, and I'm sure many more articles will be doing.
But back to the numbers when we were talking about PCA.
Yeah, critical numbers. Yes.
PCA is very important, of course. Now, there's obviously, I mean, people have heard me harangue about it many times, and that EFT, of course, are super, super important because we're, as an industry, we can't possibly, I mean, there is no way we can possibly survive without having EFT programs. And I just had a very, very nice lady a couple of weeks ago call me. She's in a small town in Indiana, and I looked at her business, and it's gone down consistently over the last 3 or 4 years. There's products that she used to sell that she doesn't sell anymore. But the point of it is she never got her EFT program off the ground. And I'm trying to...
There's the problem.
Yeah, it is. I'm trying to give her a little pro bono help right now because I feel so bad for her. So I did a new pricing sheet for her EFTs that she can go back and start selling her customers on the benefits and the value of being on an EFT versus, just selling packages of minutes and minutes. Oh, geez, when I hear somebody selling, like, I know you mean, it's like...
Tan by the minute is so, like, what, 1984, I thought? I mean, I don't mean to be mean, but that is just such a business model from days gone by, I would think, at this point. And again, I'm not meaning this in any offensive way towards anybody out there who might be selling by the minute. But if you are, you definitely want to talk to John about this. Or in fact, again, I keep saying this, but here's another article for Sunbiz Weekly because
it is.
And
John, there's a psychology to it that doesn't make it work. What we're supposed to do, what we should be doing in this industry right now, is instead of trying to sell, which is a mistake I think the industry made for years, is we tried to sell the merits of what we did on a health basis. That we we do. Yes. We do provide health. I do, and I believe it. We're a vitamin D supplier, plus the fact that we provide an escape from the realities of the stress of life. I mean, so I think, and I think maybe the biggest thing we sell is self-esteem. And so that's all wonderful.
Oh, yeah, we're in the confidence business. There's no doubt about that. People tan because they want to look better. And what happens when we believe that we look better? We feel better about ourselves.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, during all my years in this industry, people have debated which way do we go? Do we advertise on the look good, feel good, or do we talk about medical benefits? And every time we go down the medical benefits path, it somehow comes around to slap us in the face. When all along we've got the ultimate look good, feel good services here, be they UV or DHA. We're making people look better and feel better about ourselves, and I personally think we should stick with that. That's my opinion.
And I think the smart folks in this business have said to stick with that. We're going to the way we differentiate ourselves. We're going to show you that we are the most professional, and that's really what to look at as the most professional. Of course, what goes along with that is beds and all that kind of thing. But
absolutely,
professionalism in what we do is incredibly important. Now. We were talking about, and I kind of got off the track here myself here. We were
We do that a little bit. We were talking about critical numbers. You mentioned
yes,
PCA. You mentioned EFT memberships.
yes.
John, are there any other critical numbers that our listeners should be looking at when they're trying to get the heartbeat of their salon? What are some other critical numbers?
Well, a huge one is when you're looking at EFT is
Mm-hmm.
you want to make sure that you're trying to sell your EFTs on a per session basis, because what you're doing when you put together a price grid for the customer to see is you're in essence letting the customer make the decision. There's less
Mm-hmm.
buyer's remorse when the buyer has actually made the decision, as opposed to you shoving something their way. And
True.
if they look at the sheet and they see on a per session basis, wow, I can't beat being on an EFT membership. That's really the way to go. Why should I be paying with a 30-day package? Should I be paying $5 or $6 a tan on this particular level when on an EFT I'm paying $2, a session or whatever? And
Sure.
and oh, I know what I was going to mention before, John. We were talking about minutes, and I
Yes.
think the reason that the industry is so against minutes is because to be professional, as we talked about before, being professional means that we are the ones that understand how much time you as a tanner should be spending in a certain bed. And the problem with
Mm-hmm.
offering minutes is you're giving that decision over to the customer. And I have listened,
Right.
I can't tell you how many pitches from counters when somebody comes in and the clerk behind the sales associate says, okay, you were in bed number 5 last time for 10 minutes. Is that still okay for you? It's, in other words, it's saying to the customer, you're smarter than I am about how long you should be in this bed. And so that's why we
Right.
don't give minutes up. We don't sell minutes. And the other thing, too, is selling minutes becomes like a checkbook. People hold on to that like it's a checkbook, and, oh, geez, I've only got 15 minutes left. I'm going to wait because I've got this wedding coming up. And, they just
Yep.
get good color and they don't keep it. So, but being professional is you give them packages and you sell them packages that are best for them, and eventually they're best for you too. But let me go back to your question about the critical numbers, John. EFT.
Well, I think that minutes, what you just said, addressed the critical numbers issue, but go on.
Yeah, I mean, as we go into the Jason months here coming up,
Yep.
one of the critical aspects, of course, is EFT cancellations. And this is something
Yes.
that is hugely important because
Please touch on that, John, because
yeah,
I get a lot of emails from our readers. They want these, hey, we love your best practices. We love your business building tips. But gosh darn it, I'm heading into Jason and I'm terrified. What do they do? How do our readers keep their EFT memberships alive during Jason?
well, and John, you've had a couple of quips on what Jason means. Tell people a couple of it's
Well,
supposed to be July.
Yeah, Jason can mean two different things, and it all depends on how you run your business. If you're running your business well, it's July, August, September, October, November. But if you own a tanning salon and maybe don't know what you're doing, Jason can very much stand for just another salon owner's nightmare.
Yeah.
It all comes down. It all comes down to your business
Yeah.
skills, and that's
I mean, yeah, and
we want to help you guys. To all of anybody who's listening to this, we definitely want Jason to stand for the months of the year for you, and not the other definition.
yeah, I mean,
By all means.
it's that nightmare, John, in the middle of August when it's broiling outside and you've got to pay that
Yep.
air conditioning bill and you've seen 9 tanners
Yep.
in a day.
Absolutely, and of course, my immediate answer to that is obviously, that time of the year, people might not be UV tanning, but it is the wedding season and that sort of thing. There's many different event-based things that are going on in the summer that make for the perfect sunless spray tan options. But again, that's an entirely different webinar.
It really is.
John, let's talk about keeping those EFT memberships during Jason, because
All
I
right.
know you have some good
Yeah,
advice.
and I tell people all the time, I don't think I'm the brightest guy in the world. I think what I'm really good at is plagiarism. I'm good. I'm good at copying what successful people do. I mean, I watch them, and so many of the people on this call, they may be current clients or past clients of mine. But
Hmm.
what I do is, I think that's the biggest value I have as a consultant. I'm an aggregate. I'm like this continuing um, uh, treasure chest of ideas that people give me.
That
I'm
you
going
are.
to share one with you. A good client of mine in Milwaukee, Dion Borkowitz with Electric Beach,
Yeah.
just 4 salons, a great guy. He was a great client to work with. But he came up with an idea or that he uses that I think is marvelous, and it works. And I'll get into that in just a minute. But in cancels in general, if you want to
Hmm.
reduce cancels, then one of the things you have to do is make your employees aware of what their role is on cancels as far as the results go. So you want to
Right.
post, you want to post probably every 2 weeks. You want to post each person that sells for you their by their user ID number, the number of transactions they handle in that 2 weeks, divided
Okay.
into the number of cancels they took. That becomes your cancel
Oh.
ratio. And it's like, in that case, it's like golf where the low number is good. So you show that somebody has a cancellation ratio of X and somebody else has one of Y, and Y is 3 times or 4 times worse than X. It gives you a direction of who to work with to help them reduce their cancellations. Now,
Absolutely.
and you can do incentives too. You can say whoever's got the lowest cancellation rate for the month, I'm going to give them $50, and that would be well worth it. The only thing you have
Oh, absolutely.
the only thing you have to be careful with that from a management point of view is you don't get somebody, and it can happen, but it's management. You can't remove everything that could be a little weird, and without sometimes using management. So sometimes a person will avoid taking care of a customer's cancellation because they want them to go to another sales associate at another time, and that would be bad customer
Right.
service. So you don't want that.
Well, does this tie in with in again, coming out of our many conversations that we've had over the years? I believe you told me once that you encourage all of your clients and really every salon owner out there to basically make it a rule or a part of their EFT contract that tanners have to come into the salon to cancel rather than doing it over the phone. I
Yeah.
believe you told me that once.
Yes. And of course, you can't, force them by gunpoint, to come in. I mean,
Right.
I suppose you could, but I don't think you'd be around long. But anyway, you can say in their little agreement, whether it's a 3 month or 6 month EFT, you can say, now, if you care to cancel, you have to come in and do it in person. If you don't cancel, then your agreement's going to continue to go on, blah, blah, blah. Now, they could call over the phone and say, hey, I want to cancel my membership. And you say, sure, we can do that. Can you come in here, though? We can't come in. And what you tell them why you can't do it over the phone is you say, because, excuse me, Lisa Smith, I'm sure this is you, but I have to be positive that this is you, because
Right.
sometimes people will call in and do things at the disservice of a tanner, and we want to make sure that it's you. So we have to have you come in because we can't confirm over the phone that it's you. And that's really the justification, and typically that works.
Sure.
Now,
And of course, isn't the idea to get the customer to come in gives the salon owner and his or her employees maybe one last chance to save that business,
yep,
one last chance to keep that customer from canceling?
that, Johnny, that is it in a capsule. That's exactly what it is. And when they come in and they want to cancel, you offer them some alternatives. And one of the alternatives, of course, is freeze. Now, freezes or pauses on EFT accounts have been going on for a long time, but there's a lot of ways to make them very effective. You can say to the tanner, look and this is really a big part. Let's take the first official month of Jason. It's July, and they want to cancel.
Okay.
And they're at, let's say, they're at a level 2 EFT. They're paying $35 a month. And you say to them,
Mm-hmm.
now, here's some reasons why you should consider going on a freeze option with us. First of all,
Uh-huh.
to keep your membership active to some extent, it's only $5 a month. Now, we'll take $5 a month out of your bank account, and we'll accumulate that as bonus dollars or bonus bucks
Mm-hmm.
in your account that you can later on cash in and use as a salon credit toward lotions or upgrades, other services, even maybe spray tan, other than toward an EFT payment. We don't allow them to do that.
Right.
But you can use that.
Right.
Plus, you can still tan. And people say, well, really, I can freeze my account and still tan. Yes, but you should know you're going to be paying the single tan price, or in some
Yeah.
salons, it said you'll be paying 50% of the single, depending upon what your price grid looks like. And that's not
Uh-huh.
a bad deal, because if let's say they come in July, they freeze, and so they want to freeze for the last 6 months of the year. If you take in $5 a month, that's $30. They still
Uh-huh.
feel a connection with you. They still feel like they're a member. They get to tan
Yes.
if they want to, but it costs them, a single tan or half single tan price. But the other thing that we like to tell them is that, and this is not baloney, because it's real, is you say to them, okay, you're paying $35 right now for your membership. Now,
Uh-huh.
our prices may go up in January, and we're
Yes.
not sure if they're going to or not. But if you stay at least on this freeze program, we'll guarantee that you'll be grandfathered in at this lower price. Okay?
Ah,
Ah, yes.
smart.
It's
Smart.
practical, but let me give you the Dion Borkowitz approach. And I love Dion. This was a great idea. I don't, for all the years I've been, I never thought of, well, of course, Dion's been in the business. Dion's been in the business like 30 some years. It's just
Oh,
ridiculous.
wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I'm sure he's developed some good tactics
lots.
over the years.
I think I told him once I thought he was older than a Sundash, but anyway.
Good one. Good one.
But anyway, so what his concept is that he says that if somebody comes in to freeze, he offers them the freeze option, but he'll also say,
Uh-huh.
well, there's another option. If you stay on full membership where you're paying that price every month, not only can you continue to tan, and what we'll do is we'll take $75 and put it into your account at the end of the year that you can use
Uh-huh.
that as a salon credit. And, for some salons,
Oh, like bonus bucks or
it's
something
bonus
like
bucks.
that.
It's bonus bucks.
Yeah.
And if, again, think of somebody, if they're paying $35 a month and you convince them because they don't want to see their price go up, okay,
Uh-huh.
and you convince them to hang around in full membership because they're going to get $75 of in-salon credit, and they're paying $35 a month, you take in another 6 months at $35. You're taking in $210 more to give them a $75 credit that they can use toward a lotion. And let's say specifically a lotion. They take the full $75 and they want to check that in on a bottle of lotion
Sure.
at the end of the year. Now that's $75 at distributor prices for a lotion, probably costs you $12.50, maybe $15. It's well,
Right.
because you've taken in 210. And the other huge advantage is you've taken this customer now on full membership right down to January 1st when you're trying to get people in for the next peak season.
Right.
And
It really is a small price to pay to keep
very
those
small.
folks around during a time that is characteristically slow and difficult for everyone in our industry. And, it's all about investments, the way I see it and the way you explain it to me. I'm seeing that, your tanners are making an investment in your salon every day. $75 of bonus bucks is a small investment for a salon owner to make in their valued customers and to keep them around. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, and the thing of it is, if somebody says they're going to stay on it, and I just had a lady call me 2 days ago and said, well, I could take them to small claims court. Well, let me just say unequivocally, the last thing, and you're laughing, John, because you know what I'm talking about. The last thing you want
Yeah.
to do is to sue somebody or send a collector after them because their EFT hasn't gone through. I
Right.
remember a few years ago back at Smart Tan, I was giving a talk, and there was 3 or 4 retailers in the audience that absolutely demanded that they would go to small claims court to collect. And I thought, well, you just don't need it. I mean, especially with the viral nature of how we communicate with people today, you can only imagine how much damage that would do.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely. You might as well put on a big, a big boot and stomp on your client's foot. You're going to get about the same
yep.
response. I mean, that's foolish. That is absolutely foolish. That is, it just comes to mind the old saying, counting the peanuts while the elephants are walking by. It's focusing on small, inconsequential matters and missing the bigger picture here.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah. Bad move.
So,
very bad move.
And by the way, to kind of wrap up our talk here today, because
Sure.
of salon math, what I do is what I suggest to clients is that they keep a monthly score sheet, and what I'll do for our SunBiz viewers, what we'll do, John, is I'll supply a copy of what this score sheet looks like. We'll put it on SunBiz Weekly. Matter of fact,
Yes.
we'll put this along with this talk. We'll have an outline, a PowerPoint, and I'll have the score sheet that people can see. And the score sheet will show how a particular salon ranked their employees as far as PSA, which is per sale average, or if you've got Sunlink, it's per tan average. But what your per tan average is, what your LPPA, your lotion average is, your EFT close rate, that's EFTs that you sold divided by the transactions that individual had. It's EFT cancel rate. So it's got that all in there. And that's the cool thing about that sheet, is that it really takes away the guesswork of who your best employees are.
True.
Maybe somebody's wearing a tattoo that you don't like, but boy, if they can sell the crap out of everything else, I guess who can. So, but
absolutely, and yeah, I definitely agree with you. We will definitely include all this information. This sheet that you mentioned is some type of download. I'm not our web expert, but Jessica is, and I'm sure she'll have a solution for that, to where all of our readers and the people listening to this webinar can go there. They can download this sheet and use it at their business. Absolutely. I'm all about tools. So,
well, John, to kind of wrap up our talk here today, what's our ideas? What do we want to talk to people about in the next session?
Oh, well, just based on our conversation here today, John, we're definitely going to be talking about social media marketing sometime in the future.
Yep.
I could even, diversification, we're going to definitely talk about that in the future. John, I can also see us doing some type of, don't you think it would be good to give some kind of a role play tutorial that salon owners can practice with their employees, that's based on not necessarily the lotion sales, because we all do the role playing for that, but maybe retaining those the customers wanting to cancel.
Yes.
Where the owner can play the part of the customer, and then the employee has to, we give them some techniques and tactics that they can use to keep those, so they can practice keeping those sales or keeping those memberships lively.
I like that. I like that. I like that. I think that's a great idea. Yep, I'm making a note on it right now.
Absolutely, I am too, because as I say darn near every week in my editor's note, nobody really can keep up with us because we're a weekly and we get this information out every Monday. So this is definitely right up our alley to getting out there to our readers. Oh, and one more real quick thing. We were mentioning the word ado earlier when we started this webinar. I guess here's the benefits of having a wife who has a black belt in Google Foo. She just sent me, she heard us talking, and she just sent me a message that says ado means no difficulty or trouble. So there we go.
Well, now I tell Rosie I feel educated now. That's great. I now know what ado is. I realize now it's not a vegetable.
Right, absolutely not a vegetable, and definitely not goodbye in French, at least out of that spelling. So
Well,
Now
John,
we know.
thanks for, I think we've had a good session here today, and I hope that we help the
Absolutely.
SunBiz Weekly readers. We're going to continue to do this. We got so much to share with them, and we hope that they'll share this with their friends or other people they know in the business, and we'll be
Absolutely.
in real soon. And John, have yourself a good weekend, as I will do the same.
You too, John. Thanks very much. It was my pleasure.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.